Regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees, June 13th, 2024, 6:30. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Adoption of agenda. It is recommended that the agenda of the June 13th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees be approved as presented.
Motion.
Second. Vote. Approval of minutes. It is recommended that the minutes of the May 16th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees be approved as presented.
Motion.
Okay, second.
I'll first, Kim second.
Thank you.
Vote. Statements or questions from the public?
Yes, before you leave, make sure you sign it here with you, okay? Yes. Thank you.
Administrative recommendations, claims. It is recommended that prepaid and May claims numbered 101-260 through 101-447 be approved as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. Personnel. It is recommended that the resignation from Rick Walkie be approved as presented.
Motion.
Second. Vote. It is recommended that the resignation from Amber Bryant be approved as presented. Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that Mary Frazee be hired as a special education teacher at Fountain Central Junior Senior High School for the 2024-2025 school year.
Mary's been with us as a life skills teacher in the elementary school. She's had a long desire to get over to FC, and with Mr. Walkie's resignation, she's going to fill that need for us. We're happy to have her.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that Tyler Bowling be hired as a business teacher for the 2024-2025 school year.
I think last month we approved her as a instructional aide, so we had some movement. Tyler, at one point, was going to resign her instructional aide position, realized that she loved education, loved being with the kids, has a minor in business, just graduated from IU Kokomo, and is going to fill that for us. We're excited to have her as well.
Motion.
Second. Vote. It is recommended that Chelsea Quickery be hired as a junior high science teacher for the 2024-25 school year.
Chelsea was working in both elementary school buildings in Warren County prior to this. One of those roles was as a STEM teacher. She's also got military background and science background through that vocation, and we're happy to have her as well.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that Dylan Lamont be hired as a junior high English teacher for the 24-25 school year.
Dylan is a recent graduate of Indiana State, where he majored in English education. We're excited to have to help him start his journey in the field this year.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that Blair Linfesti be hired as a teacher in the life skills program for the 24-25 school year.
Since we got the life skills program here at the elementary, it's really been a desire of ours to have 2 teachers in the program. And as our roster continues to grow, that needs to become more evident. So Blair completed the transition to teaching program through Indiana Wesleyan and has her special education degree. And as a Fountain Central graduate, she's excited to be back and we're really excited to be fully staffed down there.
Nice, thanks.
Motion?
Second. Vote. Student handbook. It is recommended that the 24-25 student handbook for Fountain Central Junior Senior High School be approved as presented.
Would you like to tell them just briefly the changes that were added in there, Phil?
Yeah, there were a number of changes. Most specifically, I worked yesterday to make sure that we were current with our attendance policy, because there was new legislation that Dr. Grimes passed along that we needed to make sure that we were in compliance with. And then also had to look at,
Cell phone
oh yeah,
policy.
cell phone policy, because there's legislation there. As you're obviously aware, we were ahead of the game with that. And so we just made sure that the language was consistent with current legislation.
Motion.
Second?
Vote.
Just so you know, the elementary policy handbook you'll have next month. So you're only getting one this month, but you'll have that one coming.
Food service contract. It is recommended that the food service agreement with Aramark be approved as presented. I
I know that you have looked at proposals from 2 different vendors and have compared them using the rubric. And I also want to say that, we've been very happy. They've been a trusted partner with us for quite some time. They are very responsive to our needs, and any concerns we've had, they address them immediately. And I would like to see us continue to partner with Aramark.
Motion.
Second?
Vote. Quotes. It is recommended that the quote from Town and Country Home Center in the amount of $16,109.35 be approved for new cabinets at Southeast Fountain Elementary School.
Motion?
Second?
Vote. It is recommended that the quote from S&S Contractors in the amount of $50,000 be approved to begin construction projects.
So this is part of our jail bond project, but this is the initial money for some of the materials and things like that they're purchasing.
Motion.
Second?
Vote.
Which one second?
I've got Amy. It is recommended that the quote from Ortman Drilling and Water Services in the amount of $16,401 be approved for replacement and repair of faulty or damaged equipment.
Well, it's that time of year again when one of our wells went down. And while they're fixing it, Ortman has also strongly urged us the metal piping in there that's starting to rust through, to replace it and go back to the PVC piping at this time, so that we're not doing this with this particular well again next year. So that's included in the cost at this time.
Motion?
Second?
Vote. Contracts. It is recommended that the contract for Josh Davenport as Executive Director of Projects and Operations with a 1-year extension be approved as presented. Motion.
Second?
Vote. It is recommended that the contract for Phil Shavy as high school principal with 1-year extension be approved as presented.
Motion?
Second. Vote. It is recommended that the contract for Kelly Morgan as elementary principal with a 1-year extension be approved as presented.
Motion?
Second. You got Amy?
Second.
Scott? Vote. It is recommended that the contract for Jason Good as athletic director with a 1-year extension be approved as presented. Motion.
Second?
Vote. It is recommended that the contract for Cameron Baines as elementary assistant principal with a one-year extension be approved as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that the two-year contract for Jake Wolf as high school assistant principal be approved as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that the change to the school nurse contracts be approved as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. Other business. It is recommended that the resolution to purchase land be approved as presented.
That, there's a plot of land just beyond the school tennis courts that is going up for auction, and I would like the board's approval for us to at least consider putting an offer or a bid in on that property. Keeping it at 25,000 or less would be my recommendation, but I'd like you to give me permission to at least make an attempt to get that. Not that we will be using it right now, but I think it's an investment in the future of Southeast Middle Schools.
Motion.
Second.
Scott and Amy, vote. It is recommended that the resolution determining need for project be approved as presented.
You're being advised that you need to consider the financing of the renovation of and improvements to facilities throughout the school corporation, including HVAC improvements, construction of an addition, and site improvements, and purchase of equipment and technology, the project, if you would approve this resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that the resolution approving form of lease be approved as presented. The attorney for the Southeast Fountain Elementary School Building Corporation, the Building Corporation, has approved and submitted to the school corporation a proposed form of lease agreement, the lease, which proposed form of lease was examined by all of the members of the board.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that the resolution reapproving Building Corporation be approved as presented. The Southeast Fountain Elementary School Building Corporation was previously formed to assist the school corporation in the financing of certain projects.
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Got Amy
Amy and
and Kim with the second vote. It is recommended that adjustments to the 2024-25 calendar be approved as presented.
Okay, what I would like to do, you had already approved the calendar. When we approved it, semester 1 had 92 days and semester 2 had 88 days. I would like to move one of our flex days from January 31st to December 20th. That would put that flex day right before winter break. It would also give us 91 days rather than 92 in semester 1 and 89 days. So we're getting closer to that, splitting it in half. So that would be one change. And then the other change is to change around the order we use them. The first day then would be December 20th. And then I also want to switch the last two. May 2nd be our second day in the order if we have to use those flex days. It will not be prom anymore. Prom, now that it has been moved to a different location, it no longer has to be held on Fridays. So prom will be on Saturday this year. So we'd like to move that as our second flex day we use. And then March 14th, right before spring break, would be the third day that we'd use if we have 3 snow days.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that the blanket fundraiser for the Fountain Central Swim Team be approved as presented.
All right, the swim team is hoping to sell blankets. Their goal is to raise $3,000 to use for equipment, uniforms, swim warm-ups, and other miscellaneous needs. The blankets, for those, I know it's kind of hard to see from there, the board has seen this, I think, but they're Fountain Central blankets that have the running Mustang on it and just one more fun thing to have in your home.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. It is recommended that the overnight field trip request for the German exchange program be approved as presented.
Ashley Geigel has been here a couple times and talked to you about the trip, and we're happy to have the German trip back. But as you know, they have to go overnight to go to Germany. The planned leave is July 1st, and they will return July 14th. But I need your approval for overnight trips.
Motion.
Second.
Vote. Spotlight. Kelly Morgan, doing a spotlight on certified evaluation overview.
It's mesmerizing.
It's part of my plan to draw some, yeah.
Lull us into a stupor before she gets, she's gonna disagree to something, isn't she?
Did you guys sabotage her PowerPoint?
Good thing we have IT guy here.
Yeah.
Look at that.
All right, so last year, after a few of us admin had been here for a while, through some cycles of our evaluation system, we were starting to see some patterns in the feedback we were getting from staff, as well as the results that we were seeing from it. So our previous system kind of followed this rotation. So in semester one, our teachers would set what's called an SLG, or student learning goal, and they would pick a student achievement measure, like an assessment, and they would set a goal that the students would receive a certain passing score on that assessment by the end of the year. And in perfect honesty, 75% of those probably went in a folder on a shelf, and then we pulled them back out in May and hoped we did okay. Also in semester one, administrators would visit each classroom and do a short observation of about 15 minutes. This was unannounced. We would just, show up when we felt that time was available. We would rate what we saw in the classroom on a scale from 1 to 4, and we would share with staff. And then we'd see them again in semester two for about 30 minutes this time. We would schedule that time with them so they knew we were coming. Again, we would rate that and conference with the staff member. We also asked they turn in what's called Domain 1 evidence. Domain 1 honors the planning and data analysis our staff does. So I don't know about in your building, but in my building, I would get binders and binders of documentation, hoping that they were going to meet all the requirements required by that. And then we meet at the end of the year where we would score all 4 domains and again, conference with our staff. So the things we were hearing teachers say was they did not like the infrequent nature of our observations, the quantity or the quality. So by us not being in there very often formally, and giving that feedback to them, they didn't feel like it was really valuable to them, or that we were recognizing the efforts that were going into the day-to-day in the classroom. The big one was the rating piece. Teachers are rated on an inordinately large number of areas, and just domain 2 alone, there are 46 indicators and sub-indicators that we are rating. So as you can imagine, it left for a lot of ambiguity. And so teachers are really unaware of what the playing field was when you can't be aware of that many indicators. The structure, Really no other job do you have that your boss comes and plops down and watches you do your work for an amount of time while they take notes and you're unsure of what they were going to say until maybe 24 or 40 hours later, you get a rating of your performance. And so really those all feed into it, really lacked trust. Our teachers were really taking risks while we were in there. They were afraid something would go wrong and then they would get rated inappropriately. And really, if you've ever been in front of 20 kids, something's not going to go right to their children. And so it just led to a lot of stress around the whole situation, and we weren't really seeing teachers growing from it. And that became the biggest problem for us on our end. So our research here from Marzano's Haas says really our systems need to be aligned or designed and implemented with teacher learning at their core. So again, we need those teachers being willing to take that risk or set that goal, be willing to make mistakes along the way and learn from them. And they also need to have some ownership of it. So they should be self-assessing themselves, reflecting on what went well and what didn't went well, and having that time to have professional conversation with the colleague on how they can move forward. And really it boils down to this bolded quote here, is the best way that we as administrators can help students is by helping our teachers get better. And the current evaluation system we didn't feel was really doing that for us. So we decided to make a big shift, and we piloted a new evaluation system this year. And the big change was we eliminated measuring their pedagogy in the classroom. So when we went in and did observations, we're no longer rating them right there. We're still going to take notes, we're still going to have those conversations, but by removing that rating piece during that part, we were hoping, again, we build more trust and vulnerability, and they'd be willing for us to see an average class happen for them. So the new structure as far as observations went, Monday through Thursday, we popped into 3 classrooms of 27 teachers in our building. I think you said 6 at the high school-ish. They agreed to be a part of the pilot. We would-
12 for us.
12?
6 for Josh.
Perfect. We'd hop in for about 20 minutes, random times of the day. They didn't know we were coming. And that allowed us to see different parts of the day throughout the year as well. And then Tuesday through Friday, we spent having follow-up conversations from the 3 observations we did the prior day. So again, we were noting things that we saw that fell under the instructional goals that we have as a school, and then we could answer those questions and tweak those things that we wanted to with those staff members during those times. We still set a student learning goal, but this time it was related more to an instructional strategy. So I had teachers wanting to implement small group, I had teachers wanting to implement writing conferences, I had them wanting to focus more on their high achieving students and pushing them further. So they were setting a goal instructionally for themselves. And then of course we would see that come out in student measurement data that they'd be improving due to that improvement in instructional strategies from our staff. We checked in once a month on how that SLG was progressing, just so we can kind of keep that on the forefront and be supportive. If it wasn't going well, how can we help you? If it is going well, let's share this with others so they can do it too. That domain 1, those binders and binders of information they were turning into us, we did not do that anymore either. Once a semester, at the observer's discretion, during one of those follow-up conferences, we asked them to pull out their lesson plans, and we checked to make sure that what they were teaching aligned with the standards that they should be teaching for that lesson. As well, were they having a connection between what they taught and the assessment that would come at the end. So just by checking for those 2 things, we're making sure our students are being taught what they're supposed to be, and they're being assessed on that knowledge, and they could gain understanding from that. And that happened again once a semester or twice a year. At the end of the year, we went back and gave that full domain 1 through 4 rubric with all those indicators and sub-indicators to our staff. And we asked them to self-rate themselves in all of those areas. We did that for them as well. We then cross-referenced that feedback, and then we met together to compare those ratings, discuss their year, and then finalize their score from there. So the rating came, it was just at the end with the input from the staff members. So again, 27 staff members at the elementary piloted in. And so as we kind of look at results here, they just come from my building, but in talking with Josh and Phil, the sentiments were kind of the same. So we look at quantitatively of the 27 staff members that were in the pilot, the elementary. Last year, I was formally in their classrooms and having conversations with them for 31.5 hours. That increased to 135 hours this year. If you look at classroom visits, formally, we were in 54 classrooms last year, having those conversations and documenting that instruction. That went up to 202 formal visits this year. We also gave our staff a pre and post survey about how they felt about the old observation system, and then again, the end of this year about the pilot. So there in blue was at the end of last year, how they felt about being formally observed in the classroom. And as you can see, we had almost 30% say they really didn't like someone coming in and knowing they're click-clacking away on their computer and making notes about what they see. But that shifted all to agree and strongly agree by the end of this year. So we felt like that was a big win because we kind of broke down that barrier, and we could really see authentic teaching happening this year because they were more comfortable with it. When we looked at that rubric, again, with all those indicators, last year here in the blue, we saw some staff felt like they knew what was on it, others did not. But again, that was a huge shift to 100% feeling that they knew what indicators were on that observation rubric and how they could fulfill those effectively. When we looked at getting that valuable and timely feedback from the observations, again, this kind of stair-stepped last year and how they felt. A huge shift here, 90% saying they felt like they were getting that feedback in a timely manner, but also something that they could really put into practice. When we looked at that student learning goal, wanting to make sure it matches what you want to do instructionally as a teacher and get better at. Again, we had almost 30% last year that felt like the goal they're setting really doesn't match what they're doing in the classroom. That's a problem. And this year, again, we're seeing a huge shift there in the red to where they felt like it was. They're monitoring it more. So again, we talked about it getting put on a shelf. We have people pretty honest that felt like they didn't really look at it during the year. And now that we're having those monthly conversations, they're continuing to build toward that goal and keeping it at the forefront, making sure we're making the progress we want to do. We feel like we have huge ownership now, which that was really important to me. And I feel like if you're going to get evaluated, you should know what you're being evaluated on so that you can do your very best in those areas. So to have almost 50% last year that felt like it was kind of a roll of the dice, that really doesn't make anyone feel comfortable as you come into their classroom. So again, we really like seeing them have some ownership in that. And this for me was the most important question. Does the evaluation system make you a better educator? Do you feel like you are better today than you were in August? And you can see here last year in the blue, not really. It's just more of a hindrance and a stressor. And now we're seeing them feel like they are better teachers than they were 10 months ago. So this was just some qualitative feedback from our staff. They liked having the well-rounded evaluations instead of just one and then we're out for the semester. It gave them more feedback and helped them grow. They liked being able to have those in-depth meetings once a month and get that feedback more often. I love that they said it was less stressful than in years past. This shouldn't be one more thing on their plate. Again, they liked those observations more often and being able to talk about it. They felt like they could be seen throughout the year and not just the dog and pony show they put on once a year when we were scheduled to come in. I really like here at the end of this quote, she felt like she was held more accountable for her teaching, and it makes her want to keep working hard to be the best teacher she can be for us. I think that's fantastic. So the big question we had to ask, with our staff and as an admin team, what's next after trying this pilot? So we feel after seeing those results and talking with our staff, we're going to go corporation-wide with this next year. So all certified staff would fall under this evaluation system with us. We're still on the RISE system. With the state, we just made some tweaks to better support our staff. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say I really appreciate, Kelly came to me about 1.5 years ago with this idea about this and really wanted to make some changes because she really, not only is it a way to make her teachers more effective, she felt it was a way to make herself more effective as an administrator. So I just really appreciated it. And, I asked her questions at the time about if you're in classrooms more, you have lots of other things to do. How is that going to work? And she really had to put a lot of thought into that. But obviously, the building didn't fall down and fall apart because Kelly spent more time in classrooms. In fact, as she showed from there, teachers were more appreciative. And because of that, our students got the benefit of it. So thank you, Kelly. And thank you, Phil, you and Josh got on board and got some teachers in your group. No one was forced into the pilot. It was optional. They had a combination of newer teachers and veteran teachers and, different subject areas, different grade
Yeah, that was
levels.
gonna be my question, is how many newer teachers was involved with that?
We didn't put any of our brand new teachers on it. We want them to get their legs under, but I think you have one at least.
I had one rookie that was under my wing that did that. I want to echo what Dr. Grimes said, that Mrs. Morgan deserves really all the credit for bringing this to our attention. And when she presented to Mr. Danforth and myself, we were excited to do it, but she put all the work in to develop it, really made it easy for us to just listen to her, look into it a little bit, and it benefited us a good deal. I think one of my staff members that piloted with me probably 24, 25 years in, he said it was the highlight of his year, was having those conversations and then being a part of that. So that was enough for me to know that we need to push it out and take steps forward next year as a corporation. So big credit to Mrs. Morgan. She did a great job with that.
Thanks, Kelly.
Nice. Anything else? Discussion items?
First, I want to talk about some of the projects. As you know, with Mr. Davenport's new role, he will be presenting to you about some of our ongoing projects because that's of his role. But I at least want to give you an update of where we're at right now, some things that are happening that you've approved and where we're at with them. First of all, we have the new ventilation system for our welding area. They started that project on June 10th, so earlier this week. You see the big dumpster out there with things going into it. We will get money back because we get to recycle that metal. But that project is ongoing and on track, and we're excited about that. And I'm sure that no one is more excited than our welding teacher, who has been inhaling those fumes for years. The doors at the elementary in the daycare center that we have to create, we're working with 2 different contractors for that because one has to do the doors and one has to cut through the brick wall. They're set to be starting that project within the next couple of weeks, and they're just trying to get us in, but they understand the urgency that it has to be done before school start in order for our daycare to be able to resume in August. The pool project, with the GO bond initially, it was supposed to begin in June and go through December. The start date is going to be August 15th. They've ordered a lot of the materials. They've done a lot of things, but we've got some delays. And what they don't want is they're timing the start date around the delivery of the HVAC equipment so that they don't have a long pause in the middle of the project. So that's kind of why it has not started immediately.
So how far is that gonna push that?
Well, it'll start August 15th instead of June, so we're going to be pushed into the second semester. And we kind of thought that, especially since we're going to have some extra work done. But
Yeah.
The additional projects that I want to note. Tennis courts, I hope you noticed as you drove in that project is being taken care of. We're getting the new tennis courts. The fencing is going back now. We're on track with that. So I'm sure that our tennis coaches and teams will be excited to have a nice court to play on next year. Threat extinguishers installation. We have new system, part of our safety protocol here. Our maintenance team just completed install of 110 volt power for this at approximately 20 outlets above the ceilings. So our maintenance team has done a lot of work to prep for this, and now those threat extinguishers will be installed and ready to go for next school year. Exterior lighting upgrades. We are switching the wall lights on the buildings to LED. Also, we got lighting upgrades in the administration building that were done last Friday. And so now it's very bright in there like it is in our school buildings. And even the outside, there are motion detector lights. So if someone walks up to the administration building during the night, it's going to light up and things like that. So excited about that too, about the upgrades that we're having done there. Another thing I want to make sure that you're aware of, and if you have any questions, one of our CTE programs that was housed at Covington, we had a teacher who spent part of his day, half of his day, teaching the first year building trade students, and he worked with Adam Acton. You know, they did some things to help with the house project. And then the other half of that teacher's day was a facilities maintenance CTE class. That program is being moved to Southeast Fountain from Covington so that the teacher will work more closely with Mr. Acton. It may end up being 2 half-time teachers, depending on the skill set of who gets hired. Craig Newby, our CTE director, had a couple of candidates that were somewhat interested. Mr. Shaby will be interviewing candidates. We have the jobs posted. And, you know, we're looking forward to moving those programs over here. So they're existing CTE programs, but just migrating from Covington to here. They are still shared cost programs. So districts pay a proportionate share for the cost of the program, depending on the number of students from their district that have signed up.
So
for
what
those
was the
programs.
second part of that?
Facilities
Facilities
maintenance.
maintenance?
And one of my own children was in that program his junior year. They did woodworking, they built things, they were out spreading mulch for Covington schools. And I'm like, oh, bring that program over here. You know, they just learned a lot they learned some indoor electrical things, how to repair an outlet, some basic, you know, it's almost like building trades 101, just the very basic beginning kind of things. So we're excited to have that coming. Any questions about others? Okay, then I'm going to move into statements from the superintendent. First of all, at the 4-H fair this year, I noted that they were asking for area businesses or others to support by having a 2-foot by 3-foot vinyl banner displaying your logo and business at the Paris Livestock Arena. And it was a nominal cost. So I reached out to them, and we are going to have a banner hanging there it's a navy blue banner that'll say Southeast Fountain School Corporation and have our Running Mustang logo on it. And then it'll say for enrollment information, call and have our school phone number. The fair obviously is before we start doing enrollments, but it will have that number. So they'll call into the administration building and we'll get information and tell them what they need to do as soon as enrollment opens. So I think this is a win-win. We're supporting our students in our community by putting one of the banners there. But even if we get one new student who sees that banner, it paid for the banner 100-fold. So we're looking forward to that and the opportunity to support our community in that way. The next thing I want to share with you, we had our bus inspections last week, and when the bus inspections came back, everything went really well. There was one bus that he found that needed, had some little fluid leak that apparently it just started, because I know Jason wouldn't let that have gone. But anyway, it was a quick fix, an easy fix for Jason. No buses got put out of service or anything like that. So it was a fantastic report. So thanks again to Angie Doherty and Jason Thompson for all that they do there and keep things tip top. In fact, the inspector was initially going to come in February. And then when he found out that Jason stayed with us and didn't leave, he was in no hurry to get here because he kind of knew that Angie and Jason don't let things slip. So I wasn't surprised that it was after the school year when he finally made it to Petersburg. Next, I want to share, the school year's over, but we still want to acknowledge some achievements. Specifically, right now, I want to acknowledge some achievements from our track and tennis that came after last month's board meeting. First of all, Braylee Hoagland set 3 new school records, so she now holds 5 records in girls track and cross country. The 200 at 26.18. The last record was a student in 1992. The long jump, 16 foot 3 inch. Before, it was a student who had done a little over 16 foot 1 inch in 2006. The 400 in 59.69. She beat herself when she set a record in 2022. She's also our school record holder in the 100 at 12.24, which she set in 2023. So that's another one of her records. And she also holds the 5K record on 20.17.5, which she set in 2021. So congratulations to Braylee for all of the records that she holds now for our district. Tennis, the 2023-24 season marks the first time in school history that the boys and girls tennis teams won the sectional in the same school year. So yay for us. It was the 14th sectional title for the girls, and the boys now have 11 titles. So congratulations again to our track and tennis coaches, Braylee Hoagland, our tennis teams, and all of the student athletes and the efforts that they put into those sports. So even though school's out, I still want to make sure that we recognize their achievements.
Sure.
And finally, I just want to say thank you to Aramark. Congratulations on being awarded the contract again. I look forward to continued strong partnership with your organization, and we're happy that you're still going to be working with us. Thank you to our administrators for all of the extra hours that you put into to make sure that our teachers get better so that our students can continue to get better. And the leadership that they get from you guys is top-notch, and I am so appreciative of working with you, so thank you. And thank you to all of you.
Statements or concerns from the board?
I'll kind of tag on to Dr. Grimes. I think we have a great administration staff here. We want to keep you guys here and keep you guys moving and keep building, and I think you're doing a great job. I think it's worth congratulating you all as a group. I think you guys work well together. I know you don't always get that in school corporations, right? You guys get along, you work well together, just like that. Thing Kelly come up with, y'all took it, ran with it. It shows a lot of leadership and teamwork, and that's greatly appreciated. Yeah, and congratulations there, Mark. I know over the years we've had struggles, but we've heard a lot of good things here lately. That means a lot. When the kids come home excited about lunches, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yeah. Lots of positive comments that we're hearing in the community. So, excellent job.
We're excited for this year.
Yeah, very good. Good. And we got an awesome team. Admin team here and teachers, and couldn't be happier with where we are with the group we've got in place, and glad we were able to just do what we need to do for you guys, and we're going to continue to do what we can for you. So, yeah, much appreciated. Document signing and adjournment.
Motion. Second.
Vote.